Alright, so for this episode of looking at top teams, we're going to look at number 2, which is basically only 1 point away from the top team. But what makes it really interesting is that it has Swalot. Like, it has Swalot and a Dong. Yeah. It, like, Swalot and Wormadam Trash in the back. And that makes it really interesting because, like, it's a Swalot, and it's a Wormadam. Yeah. I know I sound really bad, but, like, if you see Alolan Muk in the back, it's gonna suck. But you know what? That team looks really... It's real... That's pretty spicy. That's pretty spicy. Like, Wormadam, as you see, Wormadam Trash is really good. Is actually pretty good for this meta. But even then, like, to put it with Swalot, it's kind of like, wow, that's really interesting. Well, at least for me, anyways. Definitely more interesting than my Galvantula or Azu line that's on the top team, for sure. So first up, we have Azumarill. Now, obviously, this thing doesn't really need much of an introduction. It's one of the most overpowered Pokemon in the game for Great League, and for Halloween Cup, it's really freaking good. So the thing about Azu is that Azu is a Water Fairy type, lots of flexibility with Ice Beam, Play Rough, and Hydro Pump, and it just has insanely good stats. It has really good stats, maxes out at near level 40. In fact, a rank 1 Azu, along with some other like top rankings, can actually max out at level 40. That's what makes Azumarill just so freaking good. It's thick, it's versatile, it's one of the most powerful mons in the game, and for the foreseeable future, unless they nerf it. Alright, next we have Wormadam Trash. Now, I didn't spend a lot of time on Azu because Azu is Azu. If you want me to go a little deeper on Azu, take a look at the top team number 1 link I did on the description. That will go a little more in depth than Azu. I'm not going to spend too much time on Azu because you know what Azu is weak against. You know what it's beat. I want to spend more time on the mons that are interesting, like Wormadam Trash. Now, Wormadam Trash is really good for Halloween Cup. The problem is you need a pretty good one. It maxes out at 5093. So that means it's very weird of what it maxes out at. So getting a good rank 1 is actually pretty hard. There's been several events out there where you can get a Wormadam, but Wormadam needs a certain gender, and at the same time, you need to... It maxes out near, like, level 40, so it's pretty expensive. Hard to find, expensive, but if you do have one, it's good for Halloween Cup. And it actually only has one weakness. It's actually only its only weakness is actually fire. So, as long as you keep it away from Alolan Muk, Wormadam Trash is actually really good. It sports a ton of resistances, resisting those Leaf Blades from Shiftry, those Sludge Waves from Alolan Muk, X-Scissor from a Beedrill, X-Scissor from Beedrill, or what's the other one I'm looking for? Crustle, Dragon Breath from Zweilous or Hydreigon, those Charmers, Ice type, so Ice Beam doesn't do much against you, Normal types, which Body Slams from Zweilous, Psychic, with Psychic, several things carry Psychic, like Clefable, as well as Galarian Rapidash, if you want it, and then Steel typing, so fellow Ironhead users from Wormadam. As you see, it has a ton of weaknesses, and only one major weakness. Actually, ton of resistances, only one major weakness. So as long as you keep it away from Alolan Muk, it's a great generalist for this cup. Now, like I said, kind of hard to find, cheap to power up, not really. It maxed out around like level 37 or 38, around 36 to 38, so it's a really expensive amount to power up, and it's hard to find. If you do have one, that's good. If you don't have one, it's kind of difficult to use. I mean, it kind of sucks because it is pretty good for this cup. And last but not least, we have Swalot. Now, this one's really interesting because Swalot is a really fun mon. Thanks to Infestation being buffed recently, it's incredibly powerful for Halloween Cup. And the reason being is because it generates energy quickly, pretty versatile move pool, and at the same time, it's a Swalot. It's a Swalot. It's a Swalot, that's all I have to say. And not only that, it's weak to a couple of things, but you know what? It's actually pretty good for Halloween Cup. So it's only weak to ground and psychic types, so confusion from those Wormadam Trashes that we looked at earlier, it is weak to it. It is weak to Mud Bomb, as well as Golurk's Mudshots if you're using a Golurk. It has several resistance though, so it resists Bug, Fairy, Fighting, Grass, and Poison. There are several things out here. For example, X-Scissor, Charmers. Charmers is the big one. It resists Charmers. That's a really big one. It resists fighting types like, you know, Obstagoon, etc. So counter users and Toxicroak. It resists grass as well, so Leaf Blades from Shiftry, etc. Frenzy Plant from Venusaur, and fellow poison types, which is basically Sludge Bomb. Sludge Bomb and Poison Jab. Now, it has Infestation. Like I said, Infestation got buffed. Now, it's kind of hard. If you don't have one, the difficult thing is it's really hard to find. It's actually hard to find. I don't see many Gulpins nowadays, and it's all the way back in Gen 3. But as you see in its stats right here, it's kind of a tank. Wormadam Trash is interesting because, like, Wormadam maxed out so near 40. So, like, it's a very tanky in Mon. Same thing with Swalot. Swalot has a ton of stamina. And that's what makes Wormadam Trash and Swalot, like, really interesting. They're pretty tanky. They're tanky boys. They're tanky. They take a lot of and they can take a lot of damage. They have few weaknesses. Not many resistances. Now, like I said, it's hard to find one. You could even Gunk Shot if you want to. Even if you, like, you see, there's so much versatility. Don't use Rocks. Please don't use Rock Smash. Rock Smash is one of the worst fast moves in the game. Infestation definitely is what gives Swalot its edge. It has Ice Beam, Acid Spray, Gunshot, Sludge Bomb. Very versatile, generates energy quickly, and it's just really interesting for the Halloween Cup. And it's a Swalot. It's a Swalot. It's a Swalot. That's all you need to know. It's a Swalot, too. Alright, and now I put everything on the team builder ahead of time. As you see, it's an Ice Beam Play Rough Azu. So you have Ice Beam Play Rough Prazu. Here's Wormadam Trash, and here's Swalot. So, as you see, the recommended moveset for Swalot is Sludge Bomb, Ice Beam. I agree. Ice Beam covers the flyers. Sludge Bomb also allows you to get stabbed, and it does heavy damage. And Wormadam, of course, you have Confusion, Iron Head, and Bug Buzz. So, if we go down and we analyze just this team, if you analyze it, it has an extremely... It has a lot of bulk. It's very bulky. This entire team has great coverage. It's B. The B ranked is good coverage. It has insane bulk and consistency. In other words, it's gonna have, dependable output, and it's really bulky. As you see, all these Pokemon are really thick. The big issue with this team is basically it's generally unsafe. The reason being is because, like, Alolan Marowak's pretty good everywhere, and unfortunately, like, it's kind of difficult to... It would be a difficult team to run. As far as, like, you losing the lead or not getting a neutral lead would be a little hard to play back from. I think your safe switch is definitely Wormadam Trash. And then you could just throw in Swalot against, like, fighters if they throw into you. Or whatever Poison Resist or Charmers, etc. So that's how you would I think that's how I'd play this team. But like I said, it's generally safe. And I think I know why, like, as we go down. So it does really well against top-ranked Pokemon. As you see here, this team does really well against Mandibuzz. Azumarill, it loses against Azumarill, Mandibuzz, and Swalot. It also beats Wormadam Trash covers Galvantula. Azumarill is able to cover Alolan Marowak and Mawile. But as you see, those fire things, it makes it really bad. See how AWAC beats Trash and Swalot really hard? I guess as long as you avoid AWAC, it's like you're pretty good. And it's only really good against Swalot because of those Bone Clubs. And, of course, you never want Wormadam Trash to eat any Fire Spins. Mawile chunks with that Fire Fang. And you really want to catch Mawile or Alolan Marowak or anything that's on fire on the lead. You're neutral against Azu. That's why you have Play Rough. Play Rough gives you that chance. Especially if they don't have Play Rough, then you win the matchup. You win the mirror, which is good. Now, with Azu, you do beat it with Swalot if you're able to. However, if you run into Azu in the lead, it's kind of weird anyways. So, in the back, you want it to match up against Swalot because Sludge Bomb does heavy damage. Against Beedrill, Wormadam Trash is your best friend because Confusion does beat Poison. And as you see, Wormadam Trash erases Swalot. Now, Alolan Muk is actually neutral. I guess that's what it means with, like, safety. As you see, your Amok is pretty safe against it. It also isn't safe against, like, Fire Fang users at all. And Beedrill. If you lead with Azu, you're going to lose Azu in the lead, so you're going to have to do some fancy realignment in order to beat it. Fortress also beats Azumarill. Yeah, Fortress loses against Azumarill. It beats, well, it wins against Salat and Wormadam Trash. So Fortress is really weird, but that's what it is. Driplim also loses against Azu, and it loses against Wormadam Trash. It's actually really interesting. Well, I can know why, because you do resist ice with Drifblim. So with that resistance, it's going to have to Shadow Ball you, and Swarmadam Thrash is so thick. Golbat loses to all 3 Mons. You do beat Skuntank. Yeah, Golbat actually, no, it loses, no, Golbat beats all, well, that's actually really interesting for, like, the Golbat matchup. Because with Golbat does lose against all 3 of these, but what's really interesting is that Golbat does have Poison Fang, so it's kind of not safe too. Like, Golbat with Wing Attack is really fast, but, like, it does lose in the ones generally, so that's pretty good. As far as Muk go, Muk loses against Wormadam Trash hard, as well as Swalot, so I haven't seen many Muks, but yeah. And then Zweilous loses against Azumarill pretty hard too. And Scoliopeed. So those are just the top meta. Now, the threats to this team, I think that's the one we're looking at the most. Alolan Muk and Tentacruel. Alolan Muk is very powerful against this team because it's able to threaten Azu. It threatens Wormadam Trash and Swalot as well. Tentacruel also threatens this team. I'm guessing, like, anything that has, like, poison is really threatening because of the Azu matchup. And at the same time, like, you can kind of bait with, like, Acid Spray. Or you can hit it's just these 2 Pokemon are really strong. Galvantula obviously beats you in the lead, so Galvantula will force you to realign, and the only thing you beat against is Wormadam Trash. If your opponent doesn't recognize that Galvantula loses against Wormadam Trash, then if they line up against Swalot, you will lose. As you see, Alolan Marowak turns this whole team except for Azumarill. Hope you catch AWAC in the lead, because if it's AWAC in the back, you're gonna have a bad time. And just a bunch of other Mons that are notable. Mostly because, you see how, like, Azu pretty much covers the other weaknesses of the other two. So Azu covers the weaknesses of this team. However, you have to pull off some fancy plays against things like Alolan Marowak, or I would say like Fortress, because Fortress is pretty threatening as well. Now, it's very interesting. It's very interesting. This team is incredibly interesting because like I said, Wormadam Trash and Swalot are just very interesting core. It's a very good team. So, incredibly good team. With a threat score of 603. So, in summary, it's a really good team. I'd give it an 8 out of 10. Definitely an 8 out of 10 because it's a great team. I don't understand it that much because Wormadam and Swalot, I don't play those. I played those mons before, but I actually don't know too much of how this team would synergize. As you see here, the reason why I'm not giving it I don't give anything a 9 unless it's just absolutely overpowered. And it really does belong in the 8, even though it's a top team. It's kind of interesting because it's not very safe. And I can see why it's not very safe. And the things that it's not safe against, like Firefang Wild and Alolan Marowak, there's a lot of those running around in a Halloween Cup. Just be careful, I would say. Be careful, do your best, and try to if you use this team, it's very difficult. That's another con. It's very difficult because it's not safe. It's not super safe, as you see here. Now, if you lose Azu, the other two, if you find a Firefang, it's not really an auto loss, but like I said, it's just very difficult to play in many scenarios. I'll give it an A because yes, it does rank high, because as long as you don't find Firefang a while or Marowak, if you can pivot away from them, play it expertly, I believe this team is incredibly powerful. And its bulkiness allows you to survive a lot of different moves. So because of that, it definitely deserves an 8. Every mon in here does have a 65% or more win percentage in various scenarios, which makes it really good. Azu obviously is incredibly powerful, but as you see here, it's defensive typing. It resists 13 of 18 types, so it's going to resist a lot of the meta. Because of that, it's incredibly powerful, very bulky, and if you play it well, it's really good. However, like I said, it's not simplistic, it's difficult, and you would have to learn the matchups with especially Swalot or Azu if you want to play it very well. Anyways, I hope you guys have a great day. Look forward to the next lineup, but this is a very unique line that, if played well, can really work for Halloween Cup.